guys, Rick Shaw back at you. My last video, it was a rant. I just had to get that out. But we're gonna talk about something else. There's my little buddy. Hi, buddy. Taking a picture. Cheese. Okay, he's helping. We're over here. It's nice and cool over here, guys. This street compared to our street, there's always a much more of a breeze here. It's just fantastic over here. So we're sitting underneath an empty house's little carport area, catching a cool breeze coming off the river. It's really nice over here. But Carl sent me an idea for a video, and you know something, I don't know why I didn't ever address this before, but this is for expats who want to come here, and even some expats that are here. But you guys probably already know this already, the ones that are here. When it comes to ambulances in this country, it's not a Western world. Nobody gets out of their way. Now, I have a theory why nobody gets out of their way, and my theory is most of the time these jamokes get in their ambulance. If they want to go for lunch, they'll put the lights on and start cutting through traffic just to go get lunch, and there's nobody in there. I've seen many times where there wasn't anyone inside, and I'd see them up, they turn their lights off, they'd be parked somewhere getting some grilled pork or something like that, and then they're going back to where they came from. They had the lights on again. So you know, that's just crazy. Police cars, most of the time, 90% of the time I seen police cars that got their lights on. That's a hell of a warning to any criminal doing something nefarious, but it's what they do here. I see a lot of times the cops are on their motorcycle. For a long time, you've seen a lot of these Yamaha motorcycles, and they got this big horn on them that go, and they'll come through traffic and constantly hit that. You know, so that's you know, they shouldn't use that except for an emergency. To me, that should only be what that's for. But if you're going to come here and you have health problems, guys, live close to a hospital. Have somebody living in your house that can drive a tricycle or a car, and strong enough to get you into it if you're in distress, so they can get you over. Another thing he mentioned was about the public and private hospitals. You go down to Manila, there's lines around the block for these hospitals. Women in the line having babies on the floor. You know, so you gotta be careful of the public. Private hospital, we go to Binyan doctors, and they're very good. I was very sick one time, and you know, my wife's doctor, gynecologist, she said, hey, and she looked me over while we were sitting in there, didn't charge me, and said, you know, you're dehydrated, you're not looking so good, you know, you need this. So they looked at me awful funny when I went into Mercury Drug to get the medicine she gave me, coming from an OB-GYN. I guess I'm the only one in the Philippines who got one of them. But that's the difference between the private. But if you're a distance from a hospital and you're in any area with traffic, you're going to lay in that ambulance for quite a while. And you can't think of this place in distance. That's wrong think, guys. Don't ever think of this in distance. I could go from here to the hospital in the United States, the closest hospital to us, if I needed to in 5 minutes. Here, cutting through a little town, 20, could take 15, 20. If it's evening and you're in distress, around the time everyone gets off work, it could be even longer. So think of that when you're planning on coming. If they ever let this crazy thing go that's going on right now, you know, and start opening things up. People here, though, today I'm seeing people working. I'm seeing them out and working. I think, you know, what I was talking about to the neighbor, I said, yeah, I talked about the last video, and we were looking at it, and he's, oh boy, that's a heck of a video. And I said, yeah, well, that's just what was on my mind. And he said, well, you can't say things are closed, that's not normal. He says, you got to remember, this is Holy Week. You know, a lot of people are taking off to visit their family, and they're going to find a way to get home. The one fellow I talked to, he's got workmen, and they're going home. They're just going. They're getting whatever they can to, because this is the Filipino important time, guys. You know, this, I saw a thing in there that 98% of Filipinos are Catholic, and they go to church. I'm telling you, they go. And for the government to say no, but they're able to go. You know, you look at a lot of the videos in the past when this first came out, and the big wig PNP guy having a big birthday party when nobody else was allowed to, and this senator going out and about, even though they said he had this thing that I wasn't buying anyway. I wouldn't have been worried about that guy, but and he was going here and into the hospital and all this stuff. There is a class level here. You know, I hear all the time my Indian friends talking about, you know, the class level there in India, and it's openly talked about. But it's a funny thing, they don't talk about it here. It's like they're trying to hide it. It's here, guys. There is a class level, and if you're the poor, your kid's not going to get into high school, and there's many, or college. There's many jobs that if you don't have 2 years of college, forget it. You're not getting in. And the public schools here, I know this is a developing country, but from what I can see, actually they're like U.S. schools, substandard. The U.S. schools got all these unions in there now, and they get tenure, and the colleges, you know, they've been taken over. But here, it just doesn't seem they teach it. Talk to these young kids. You talk to them, and they don't know. You know, they just don't know things. They're not getting the history. I'm teaching my kids history. I'm showing them about the Holocaust and stuff like that. And people say, oh, you know, I had one friend saying, oh, you know, that's so bad. Are you sure you're right in letting your children see that? Absolutely. If you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it. I look at people in the store. I was in the store one day, and they had these jars of juice, and the smaller jar was just a little bit left. It was a third less, but it was just a little bit less than the money, no, it was a third less than the money, and it was only 25% less. So it was a better deal. And the big one was, just because it was big, it was a lot more money. When you figured it out per ounce, it was a raw deal, and it had ounces on it. And I was telling her, hey, you know, you're paying more for that. You're better off to get the big one. And she just shrugged her shoulders and picked up the big one and walked away. And these are people who should be budgeting their money and being careful and being smart when they buy. People told me, oh, you're just cheap. I had a guy on here. I had this one guy was going back and forth. He's a liberal, not like, oh, you got all this money, you're just cheap. I know. You have more money because you're wise with the money you got. You have to put some back. You have to be ready for a rainy day. I'm teaching my kids how to budget their money. And you know, I keep saying this, when they start working, half that money's going in the bank, as long as they're under my roof. Half's it going in the bank, half it's going to take care of business and a give and take account, and a little bit in their pocket. You know, you just don't blow it. You have to have a rainy day, and I don't, with the banks and stuff going on, I've been getting some information about the banks that the federal FDIC isn't really covering anymore, and it happened in the 20s and 30s of the last century. You know, they can take it. Now we're almost 100 years on to it. I can see the same thing happening again. It's brewing, guys. It's brewing. The coffee is brewing. Sure, you can go over there. I'm making sure he's getting a lot of water, but I look at a lot of people too that here that they tell me how healthy they eat, and they don't read the labels. You look at something that I noticed here since I came here a long time ago is the weight problem a lot of people have, and obesity and all this, and you're starting to see chicks with football shoulders because they're not eating right. They're not reading the labels. You know, and beauty fades. And you think about the young girls that are in good shape and look really good here, but you got to remember something. Beauty fades. You got to fall in love with the heart and the way the person is, not on looks. Just a funny story about that. I remember I was a little kid sitting on my grandpa's lap, and grandma came in. Whenever grandma came in, he always got up and gave her a hug and a kiss. You know, he put me down and gave her a hug and a kiss, and she had been out in the backyard or something. And he was always sweet to her, just constantly sweet to her. And they were up there pretty good in age. And I got back on his lap. And Grandma, they could have peeled her face, and Rand McNally would have bid on that, because they could have made the most wonderful topographical map you ever seen with the skin of her. She was pretty wrinkly. And I said, hey, Pap, you know, you kiss her, she's looking pretty rough. I'm a little kid, innocent little kid, and he just looked at me and he says, son, the good Lord blessed me with poor eyesight. I laughed. That's a little bit off of my topic today, but I was just thinking of that today. I've been reflecting on a lot of this stuff that's going on and thinking about how it was in the past. But there is the here and now. So if you guys want to come here, expats want to come here, and you do have health problems where it could be an emergency, make sure that you are close enough to a hospital, a good one. I know a bunch of people that live close to the Asian Medical Center because they do have health problems, and they're going there on a regular basis and making sure everything's okay. I think a lot of your problems can be taken care of with diet. I'm working on getting things worked out of my body. I still say that my main problem that caused me health trouble was that amoeba. So somebody asked me if it ever goes out of your system. I am not sure. The doctor said, the one I went to said no. That's something. It's in there. They've killed it. They got it out of the bloodstream, but is it still there? Sure. That's like these tests here. With this Corona beer. The beer bug. That's a Corona. That's the common cold one. So they found something that they could, label. They could label it with that. Because everybody's going to have it if they test for it. If they're looking for it, they're going to find that in you. So, look out for that. I'm just sorry, guys. I'm still not buying it. I do believe that there's a flu, though, but make sure when you drive here in traffic. I know when we go to Binion, I remember I was going over there for a regular thing with my wife and before this, and when we get to this corner of Oliveras, we were backed way before the tracks, if anybody knows the area, and it took us a good 15 minutes to get up to the intersection. And then for some reason, a traffic cop, there's a little right turn one, they blocked it with all their motorcycles, so you couldn't get through there, and he was standing in the lane, so you couldn't make a right-hand turn, even though I had my blinker on. I was even waving at him, hey, can I go? I could have went to the right, but he just decided nobody was making a right turn until the light turned green. So, and I have asked plenty of them, is there a right turn on red? And he said, yeah, they told me there is a right turn on red here. You do it with caution. I did see some places that actually had a sign that says no right on red. That's towards Manila area, and it was because it was a pretty blind corner and the speeds there were a little higher, so I don't blame them. That was good to have it. But signage, another thing, when you're here, when you're driving, signage is just almost non-existent. The only way I know what the names of the roads are is because of the Waze. When you put it on, it'll name the different streets and stuff. But a lot of times you'll talk to somebody and they say, oh, where's that business located? And I'll say, oh, it's on Carlotta Street. They have no idea because there's no signs. They may have lived here their whole life, but they don't know. They don't know the names of these streets. But if you have like Waze or something, it tells you the names of the streets as you're passing them. But this area, with the names on the streets and how you get to places, the folks that live here, though, they do know the shortcuts. That's one thing about the Filipino people. They'll know the shortcuts to get the best time. And I was saying about you don't travel here in miles or distance, you travel in time. It may be a short distance. Right across there, you see that house? It's a stone's throw. I could probably throw 2 rocks and hit that house. But for me to drive over to that in the car, let's say during the evening, 5, 6 o'clock, it might take me 15 minutes just to go out around and get to that because it's going to be slow. It's just what it is here. It's something that it's not bad, good, or otherwise. It's just the way it is. And, people are walking in the road because most places don't have sidewalks. Now, there are a lot that do. But there's some places don't have them. Some of these little towns we go through, one guy got on there and said, oh, I couldn't take that place, walking in the street and all that. Well, it is what it is. The Filipino, we go to GMA and they're widening the road. Now they'll leave a tree and they'll widen the road and make a whole nother lane, but there'll still be a telephone pole there or there'll be a tree there, and you're going to run into it if you're not careful. But they're going down this thing and they're smashing off the front of these houses. They're block houses and they're coming in with a big machine just smashing it, and you can look in and see the people's living room. And I was asking, what's going on with that? Well, they had a lot there, and they built on, and they went on to ground that wasn't theirs, is what happened to a lot of them. Now, I know Tim was saying his place. I'll have to ask him about it, Tropical Tim in the Philippines. I'll have to ask him about his place. But I know they cut off a huge amount of the front of his house because they widened the road down in Palawan. But I don't know if they built on ground that wasn't theirs, or if they just declared eminent domain and decided to just chop off 18 feet of his house. I'm not sure. I'll have to ask him about that. Tim, if you could put it in the comments and let the folks know about that. But I'm not sure. And his sweetie's still out of country because her flight got canceled, and I feel bad for him. Those guys have been married a heck of a long time. Sure hope they don't miss any anniversaries and important stuff. But I know he had to miss his daughter's weddings, which to me would be heartbreaking. That's something that you should be there for. But he would have been stuck out too. That would have just been a horrible thing. But she's stuck. Hopefully she can get back pretty soon. It's just a shame when they get the citizenship, they lose this one. Philippines and the United States have always been buddies. I don't know so much about now, but always has been in the past. I don't know why they just can't have a dual thing where you could use whichever passport. I know when you go to the United States, even if you have two passports, they tell you they want you to use the American one. My kids will have two, and if they do go, if they want their kids to become citizens, they have to spend 5 years in the U.S., and of course that would have to be on a U.S. passport. So, but my little guy's having fun with the camera. Oh, my little buddy. They're having lots of fun. We did find a way around this fence. We can get in through that gate there, but we found a way through the little short jungle area where we can get out over towards the park is. So, I got up. Okay. I got up last night. I fell asleep early. I was out and just told my wife I'm going to take a nap, and I wound up sleeping until 10:30. And then when I came out, I had my little light with me, and I thought, I'm going to see if I can get through there. And I got through there. And yeah, I could walk through the park. I could walk up and down without the dogs barking. But when I got back here into this dirt area, I was walking up and down there, and the red dog that's always here, he won't come near me. I've never chased him with a stick or anything, but he's very wary. But he doesn't bark at me. And he was barking. And it wasn't a bark like he was mad at me or anything. He was barking at me and turning to go away. So I started following him. Well, the female way down at the end was laying in a pile of the dirt and had her puppies, and he just wanted to show me, and he was wagging his tail like crazy, and I seen her. So what I did, being over there, she was up against the wall, but I picked all the pups up. I always have a little towel with me and stuff, and I put them all in the little towel, and I picked her up too because she was, she just had her pups. Picked her up and I carried her over to the little house over there, and I put her in her little grassy area over there. And she didn't seem to mind. He didn't seem to mind. I think that's what he wanted. Their dogs talk to you. Dogs can talk to you if you only listen. So I got him over there, and she's over there now. I checked this morning. She's over there now. I don't like to go in there now. It's not the people who own the place's land, but they got all their stuff there. So I don't like to be poking my nose in there in the day. Nighttime, I go through there. The dogs, when I go through there, they don't really bark at me much. They know me. There's a bunch of them. There was 8 of them. Now there's 12. There's 12 now because these 4 pups, if they all make it. But there'll be more garbage tearing. Some of them listen to me now when they come on my street and they start sniffing on the garbage. Hey, get out! And they leave, especially Itchy. But this is something you get here. I wish those people would take care of their animals. There's never water for them. I've been bringing over a big, an old plastic tubs we have and a jug and put water down there, and all of them run up and just suck the whole thing out. I'll stand there and they drink all of it that's in the little plastic thing that I have, and I'll fill it up again. Why, if you're going to have a dog, you just ignore them? I don't understand some of the mentality here on the dogs. I call Itchy because every time I see him, he's scratching, and sure enough, he does have some bugs. I got some advantage on the way, and I'm going to hit him with it. I'm going to just hit him and just pay for it because I really like that dog. My wife even said, why don't you ask him when we go to leave if you want to take him? And I'm like, Well, you know, he's so used to being out and running around in the neighborhood, it would be a jail sentence just to keep him in our yard. So I'm not going to do that. We're just going to go, and we're going to miss him because we really like Itchy. You know, I do love dogs. I just don't like some of their owners. That's my problem. But I got off on the ambulance thing. I tend to ramble, guys. You know that. Okay. But this is Rick Shaw. Don't forget to pray for each other. I hope you don't mind me on my last video doing a little bit of venting, because that's exactly what I was doing. I am going to let you go. Even my battery in my camera said it's time to be done because it just shut off. So don't forget to pray for each other. Talk to your close sheeple. Let's not let Satan have his way by having fathers, and you know there's going to be divisions between fathers and sons and brothers and sisters and all this stuff. It's written, guys. You know, it is written. So get into prayer. Talk to the good Lord. He's got a history of changing his mind. He just wants to hear from you. He wants to hear from you. Talk to him. Talk to him daily. Ask him that this thing that's going on, if he could help us. We can't fight this, guys. You know, everybody would have to stand together and fight it, but without God, we have no armor. We're weak and feeble. We have no armor in order to fight these forces of evil. We are going to lose. It's just like me compared to an ant. If I decide I'm going to kill that ant, I'll go stomp him. And that's basically where we're at, guys. Without the armor of God, you know, we're nothing. We got to be, you know, adamant type, you know, and that's only with the armor of God. You know, that is what all of us need. So talk to him on a regular basis. And, you know, I always remember that thing, there's no atheists in a foxhole. Well, you know something? Seems like there's lots of foxholes around right now. And you're going to have to jump into them with what's coming. People are afraid of the police. A lot of these security guards and police, they're not buying it either. You can tell just by the way they wear the masks. I went into the store here a week or so ago, and the guy said, I had in my mask, not my mask, but I had my mask down. Because going through the entrance of the store, you got to put it on. They're required to make you do that, so you know they don't want to lose their job. So, you know, they're in a foxhole. So he had his shield on the back of his head, with, you know, covering the back. And he says, "Hey, you got to put the shield on, man." He looked at me like he's sorry that he had to do that. So I put it on exactly the way he had it, and he was good with that, and I walked through. You know, I went ahead and got through. So once I got inside, I just, you know, off goes the mask, and most of the folks. There's a few of the older folks you see that religiously wear them. I actually saw a lady that had two on, and you know something, I wish she would realize and have learned enough in her lifetime that she's wearing a petri dish. You know, look at, somebody said in 2008, it was on Facebook for a while. I haven't seen it for a good bit, but Fauci wrote a paper in 2008. You could probably look it up, that out of the 50 million who died in the beginning of the last century with that the real pandemic after the war, that half of them, 25 million of them, died because of, you know, wearing the cloth. You know, of course, there wasn't penicillin back then. You know, it was a bacterial infection in the lungs that the body just couldn't fight. And then, of course, there was a lot of diets changing back then. People were changing towards processed foods and things like that, so their body was, you know, now all of a sudden you've got two enemies fighting on different fronts, you know, and if you're fighting against somebody, one enemy, yeah, you can win, even a smaller one. Look at Sun Tzu, how he tells you how to win. But when you've got enemies all surrounding you, you know, it's done. You know, except Bastogne when Patton came. Those guys had enemies around them. But you know, when you're surrounded, you know, it's either surrender or die a lot of times, and so they got, you know, they really got hit with something. But what happened back then isn't what happened now. Look, guys, wake up and look at the world death counts, and look at how certain numbers dropped, and then of course this COVID went through the roof. Take a good look at that. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. Start looking up yourself. You got to wake up. I know sheeple, the wool gets heavy and it goes over your eyes. You just got to lift that up or talk to your friends so you can shear all this off, because there's a wolf in there and he's in sheep's clothing, guys. This is what is happening. So I'd like to see everyone wake up, drop to your knees, talk to the good Lord. He will listen. He has a history of listening. He loves us. He made us. I mean, how would you as think about this? Just think about this for just a second. I have these children that God gave me. They're actually not really my kids. They're the good Lord's kids, and I'm just their brother. But they're our children, and look how much we love them. I love these kids like you wouldn't believe. Just think how much more God loves you. Just take a minute. We're coming into Holy Week and all this stuff, and just think about that for just a second. How much more He loves you, all the things that He gave you. The sights, the sounds, the smells, the food, all the stuff that He gave you. You got to think of that, guys. You got to know where you come from, because if you don't know where you come from, you'll walk through this life lost. So this is Rick Shaw out.